Welcome to the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, your number one home for all things Bison basketball. I'm your host, Chip Washington, the self-appointed Bison basketball fanatic. And we're here today to continue to tell you to support Bison Nation. And you know you can do it in so many ways. You could donate to the MEAC Society at the MEACsociety.org. That's our name, image, and likeness collective. You can also donate to the athletic department directly at hubison.com, and you can give through the Bison Express Booster Club. And as always, please continue to tell everybody about this podcast. You can hear us on so many platforms. You can hear us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, at Bison Brothers Basketball. And you can interact with us on Instagram at Bison Brothers Basketball. So continue to hit that like button, hit the share button, subscribe, and tell everybody about the podcast. Well, as you know, today we're going to give you another great interview, a continuation, if you will. We've been having some very good interviews, and we want to keep that streak going. So, you know, during the season, we gave you part one of the interview of Cam Shockley, OKK, with Christina Taylor and Taylor Rawlings. And so for today, we want to continue to give you the rest of that awesome interview. So sit back, relax, and enjoy part two of Cam Shockley, OKK, Christina Taylor, and Taylor Rawlings.
How you doing, Cameron?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me on the show.
All right. Well, I kind of dug into your bio a little bit, and I thought to myself, well, he's at a school where the men and the women's teams are getting a lot of shine. And since you're from Connecticut, that made me think, well, dag, I wonder if you ever thought about going to UConn. Or did they ever recruit you? And did they have a shot if they did?
Man, so UConn used to be one of my favorite teams growing up, just because I'm from Connecticut, and when I was in middle school, they won in 2011, 2014. So that was always, a great place, great program up there. It's kind of far from where I am. It's about, even though I'm in Connecticut, it's about 2-3 hours. I think I've only been up to Stores one time for like a soccer tournament or something. So I never really, ventured up that way too much. But they got a great program there, but they're doing pretty well right now. And they won the past 2 years, so they got some good things going on over there.
So you're a serious networking type brother, huh?
Hey, part of what they teach you here, part of what they've taught me all my life. So
that's all right. That's what's up. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I said, I thought you had. Did you have one more?
Oh well, okay. I didn't. I didn't want to. Okay. Well. So then my last question, again, sticking with the Renaissance theme, is do you want to be a physician or a pilot or both?
It's funny because, Embry-Riddle's an aeronautical school, and that wasn't really ever my thing there. I did something called human factors, which is kind of like user technology, engineering, psychology, something a little bit closer to, the science side, not fully, flying planes, right? I would have loved to do that, but they never let me in the cockpit. But I want to be a physician, play pro ball for a few years before going to med school and all that. So that's the goal right now.
Okay. All
right. Cool. So what do you want Bison Nation to know about you that they may not already know?
I don't know. I think on top of, loving basketball, loving just the grind that comes with it, being a college athlete. I love music, just growing up. So at Columbia, I was a biology major and a jazz studies minor. So I play the piano. I played the piano since elementary school. Love listening to jazz music, play a lot of jazz music. I was in an ensemble in high school. Fortunately, didn't have enough time to do that when I was in college, but just continue playing, I have a keyboard, and every place I've been to, I have a piano back home. So Now music's been definitely intertwined into, my career and my life.
Okay. Well, I don't know, Brian, since I know you're the music guy, if you want to
I'm the music
step
guy.
in.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So E, you had me at hello. I mean, Cameron, you had me at hello because I was like, this guy likes music too. I like him already. So I'm similar to you. I'm a science guy, engineer training, but I used to sneak over to fine arts to play the piano during my study breaks. So Taylor, that's what I did. I went to go play the piano instead of crocheting. My hands never worked that way.
I do the same thing too. I go in every once in a while. They have a bunch of pianos there, so sometimes if I get some free time between, practices and classes, that's where they'll find me.
So the question that came out was like this passion, man. How do you see that playing out for you in terms of as you finish up your playing career? Are you gonna dive back into music? What does that look like for you?
It's something I've thought a lot about. I think it's something that's always been intertwined into everything I do, but never really taken the front seat. It'll definitely, be there with me after, I graduate here, after, I play overseas, wherever it is I end up. But I think it's just something that's always going to be there. And I don't know, how much of, where it's going to be in terms of all that, but it's something that's always going to be there for sure.
So the question that comes to mind, because there's a few musical guys on the team. I know Bryce is making beats right now. Are you and Bryce cooking up anything in the lab that we can, get a little track to? What we got? What we got going on?
So me and Bryce live in the same spot, and we have a studio. We made a studio at the beginning of the year in the back of one of the rooms that we had open. So we got speakers there. We got what else? We got all like the music treatment there. So the acoustics is right. We got the microphone. So once the season ends, we'll definitely get in there some more together. We did a little bit, before the season, and we'll find each one of us in there every once in a while making some beats or something like that. But you might expect an album after the season. You never know.
I'm just saying. We're auditioning some additional theme music for the show. What you just heard in the intro, I wrote that back in the day. They pay me a lot of bucks to play that on every episode. So we figured we can get some new music in there every now and then. But I'd love to see where you all take it, because what's been a common trait for a lot of the players who've come through Howard is that multi-talented renaissance is what you would call it. But it's beautiful to see how we keep living up to the Renaissance theme. So appreciate that.
Definitely.
Yep.
Props to you. I know that's a lot to handle, because personally I probably could do it, but that sounds like a lot. I guess my next question that Christine and I came up with was, how do you recover, or what is your routine for coming back from a loss or a setback in basketball?
Really good question, guys. So it's definitely changed. I think this year, not even this year, just like as I've progressed through college basketball, because I've played, gosh, a bunch of games and, been through a lot of great wins, a lot of, losses, and just, the season's up and down. And it's always going to be like that. And I think the one thing I've kind of learned, and, our team's talked a lot about this year is, trusting the process with everything you do. And you can't be results oriented, you have to be process oriented. So, even in wins, you still have to learn from wins, and losses, of course. It seems easier to win, like to learn from losses, but you're still looking at the process. So, whatever you do, whatever the result is, you have to trust that your process is going to get you to where you want to be. And, that might not always mean you're going to be successful, but it's going to put you in the best chance to be successful. So that's definitely helped me, absorb some of the losses we've had, but also, stay hungry when we do have some really good wins.
All right.
I love that.
Any more from Tay 2 Raw and Chrissy T?
I told y'all it wouldn't be that bad.
No, it's what's funny is that you all ask the questions that I wouldn't think to ask, because we're the fans that say, man, get up, man, keep playing. We need to get ready for this next game. We didn't know you had to do homework too.
Right.
That's the challenge. So I do have a question that, because inquiring minds want to know, because you've been practicing a lot. You said the practices are intense, and you're getting ready for competition. But outside of the basketball court, what has been your best experience at Howard so far as a student?
Oh, homecoming for sure. You know,
Oh wow.
I mean, it's hard to. There's a bunch of other great moments, but that just nothing compares to that. You know, we had homecoming at other schools I went to, but HBCU homecoming, 100th anniversary homecoming, Howard homecoming. That was kind of like my like welcoming into the program because we played that day too. We
You
had
did.
our scrimmage game, and then we went to the football game after. The team from last year got congratulated on their successes, and then just being on the yard and just being around so many honestly inspiring people. Just going to HBCU for me has been very inspiring for me, and just seeing the generations of that success and just like the network and just all the positivity around it was honestly just a very, very special moment for me. So no, it's definitely by and large
Love that.
been the best moment so far.
That's awesome. Chip,
I have
it's
a
nice to know that
follow-up question
homecoming
to
is
that.
still undefeated. Still undefeated.
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
I'm
So, hey,
no
man, can you
doubt.
tell us a little bit more about your aspirations to play ball after college? Man, you were said a little bit earlier. I just want to hear more about what you're thinking there.
Yeah, so let's see. So in undergrad, I mean that was always the goal, play as long as I could, and I always had kind of this balance of, going the pre-med route, going to med school, but also seeing how far I could like, basketball could take me. And when I got actually a few months before I got hurt, I did this internship in Spain. And it was a great experience. I was working at a hospital out there, but I also had the chance to play basketball with some of the clubs out there and some of the players because they're in their off season at that time, and absolutely loved it. The style of play out there, just the camaraderie, everything. So came back and got hurt. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to play basketball anymore. I had hip surgery, both my hips, kept me out for 6 to 7 months. And that was the first time I really got hurt. I was bedridden. I had to take an exam because I got my operation in December, so I was exam season. I had to take an exam, like a 3-hour exam on crutches, standing up, trying to, yeah, pain meds and everything. That was one of the worst experiences. And, it was a very frustrating time for me, just, trying to deal with life without, basketball, which, has been with me throughout everything. And then got a great chance to play at Riddle and then got a great chance to play here and saw that opportunity was still there. So, I'd love to play at least for a few years, whether it's overseas, whether it's here, wherever that opportunity is, and then eventually go to med school, but, still see how far, basketball can take me in these next 3 years.
I love it, man. That's very inspiring, man. I don't think I knew that part. E. Wash didn't give us that in his background notes. He was just freestyling that he was gonna.
I don't know if that's out there, so
I'm just saying, man. You this is exclusive stuff here. This is
exactly.
We cheer for you, and Eric will ask you something like, "When did you fall in love with basketball?" He's all deep like that.
Look, which is actually a good question. When did you
I'm
fall
just saying,
in
that's
love
E. Wash. That's
with
E. Wash.
basketball?
When did you fall in love with basketball?
I don't know. It's one thing because it's always been around. Like my mom put me in so many sports growing up. I played, baseball in the spring, soccer in the fall, basketball in the winter, and I played, tennis. I was on, chess club, all that stuff. So I was just always doing something, but I always gravitated back towards basketball. For me, I think my love came from not knowing how to be without it. And that was whether it was like, in the off season where, even though I was playing soccer, I was still thinking basketball. And especially when I got hurt and I wasn't able to play, I was still coming to practice and, watching practices. I watched so much film then, took so many free throw shots, even though I could barely walk. And just that sense of not being able to truly live without basketball kind of, solidify, how much it meant to me, how much work I put into the game and, how much love I have for it. So that's kind of the best answer I could give you.
That's phenomenal.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
Okay,
Great
okay.
answer.
Well, since B trolled me, I have to say, man, that the only reason I love basketball so much is because I can't play.
Those are facts. Those are facts. Yeah, this has been phenomenal, man. So,
Bison Nation, we hope you enjoyed that interview. Continue to support this championship culture, this dream factory, by donating to the MECA Society at themecasociety.org. Also, continue to donate to the athletic department at hubison.com and through the Bison Express Booster Club. And as always, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Tell everybody about the podcast. You can hear us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and interact with us on Instagram at Bison Brothers Basketball. And we're going to end this show like we always do. You know how we do it, Bison Nation. HU, you know.